Mexico has a rich and diverse history. Through our triumphs and our tragedies, the land of enchantment has seen vast transformations, as unique as the people that call it home.
That's right. You can experience the past firsthand at the New Mexico History Museum with a striking multimedia hands-on exhibit called Telling New Mexico. Take a look.
The New Mexico History Museum Palace of the Governors invites you to step back in time over 500 years through New Mexico's past in Telling New Mexico, stories from then and now.
All right, so Kate, we're in what I think is actually a pretty fantastic exhibit that really sort of gives us a crash course of New Mexico history. Why is this such a good crash course?
That's a perfect term for it. I like to tell people this is a great place to begin your New Mexico adventure. In just 2.5 floors, we sweep you across 500 years of New Mexico history. If you look at the history of the American West, New Mexico has a central role in almost every big story that happened. And so finding out what those stories were, who some of the big players were, getting to see some of the objects that they owned, photographs, paintings, maps, and the like, it's a very special experience. And once you find that out, which parts of the history really jazz you, then you can head out from the museum and explore where it actually happened. If the Billy the Kid story turns you on, go down to Lincoln Historic Site. Right. If the story of the Long Walk really touches your heart, what happened to the Mescalero and Navajo people, go down to the Bosque Redondo Historic Site and see where it happened and the views that those people woke up to every day.
Right. Now, as you said, I mean, there's nearly 500 years of history encapsulated. That's a lot of history to talk about. How did you choose which elements of New Mexico history to focus on?
We chose to focus on the places where people of different cultures came together. That's where change happens. Change can be difficult, sometimes it can be beautiful. And we don't shy away from either side of those stories. So we open in the 1500s before the Spanish arrived. We set the scene of Native American life, and with the sound, with things that you can touch, and with things that you can see. Throughout the exhibit, we've sprinkled movies, computer interactives where you're touching and changing the borders of the state or checking out what the Segus or Hyde stories are behind them. And then beyond the exhibits, we have events throughout the year that we invite people to come into the museum. Just recently we celebrated our 5th birthday and we had people rolling hoops in the palace courtyard.
Oh, very
cool. A lot of fun. Yeah. And so keep checking our schedule. There's almost always something going on for kids here.
Now in this exhibit, I know that I already kind of have my favorite artifacts that you have in
Let
here.
me guess.
The Billy the Kid spurs. Kind of love that. Kind of a Billy the Kid nerd. Love that history.
I am too.
In addition to that, what are some of your personal favorite artifacts that we can see here?
Ooh, it's hard to pick because there's so many of them. I come out of a journalism background, so photography is really important to me. Part of the campus here is the Palace of the Governor's Photo Archives, and we have nearly 1 million images in it. And we made liberal use of photography in all of our exhibits. So I love seeing actual photographs that were made in the 1800s and the early 1900s of what life was like then. I love weaving, and there's some beautiful examples in here of colcha embroidery, a very traditional Spanish type of embroidery, and there's also a beautiful saltillo tapestry on display.
Very cool. Now, of course, this is all part of our New Mexico history, but if someone at home wants to be part of the history, how can they make it their history? How do I make this my history?
It was important to us that we not set an end date for history. We believe that history happens every day. So this exhibit carries you all the way down into World War II and then through the hippie era, and it lands you in today's New Mexico. And it's a room with a lot of oral histories of modern day New Mexicans. But along one wall, we have pegs coming out, and there are pieces of paper with a big hole in them, and we're inviting you to write your own story, or draw a picture, or write a poem, and leave it on the board and share yourself inside of our walls.
For more information on Telling New Mexico and the Culture Pass, head over to casa.com.